You check your phone. One notification. Your bank balance just changed. Not by a few dollars, not by a few million, by $100 trillion. That's more money than the entire GDP of the United States, China, and Japan combined. Twice over. But there's a catch. A voice message plays. A mysterious lawyer explains the rules. You have exactly 7 days to spend all of it. Every dollar left over at midnight on day 7 disappears forever. No investing it. No hiding it in an account. Spend it or lose it. This is what would actually happen if you tried. Before we start spending, let's understand what $100 trillion actually means, because your brain cannot process this number naturally. If you stacked $100 trillion in $100 bills, the pile would reach past the International Space Station twice. If you spent $1 million every single day, it would take you over 270,000 years to run out. Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Bernard Arnault, the 3 richest people on Earth, could combine their entire net worth about 200 times over and still not hit this number. You are, for the next 7 days, richer than any human in the history of money. So let's ruin that. Day 1. You start simple. Shopping. You walk into a watch boutique and buy every single Rolex, Patek Philippe, and Audemars Piguet on the shelf. Then you buy the store. Then you call every watch manufacturer on Earth and buy their entire annual production for the next 10 years. Total cost, about $40 billion. You've spent less than 0.5% of your money, and you now personally own more watches than most museums. You move to cars. Every Bugatti, every Ferrari, every one hypercar in existence bought. You commission 50 custom cars just because you can. You buy 20 super yachts, the largest private jets in production, and a fleet of helicopters to shuttle between them. Running total spent, roughly $150 billion. Remaining, $99.85 trillion. You haven't even scratched the surface. Day 2, you go bigger. Real estate. You don't buy a penthouse in Manhattan. You buy Manhattan. The entire island's real estate is valued at roughly $1.7 trillion. Sold. Not satisfied, you buy Monaco, the whole country, technically. Then Beverly Hills. Then every private island currently for sale in the Caribbean, the Maldives and Greece combined. You purchase 100 entire ski resorts in the Alps, just to guarantee you always get first tracks. Running total spent, roughly $3.2 trillion. Remaining, $96.8 trillion. You now personally own more land than most small countries, and you've used less than 4% of your fortune. Day 3, you stop buying things and start buying companies. You acquire Apple, the world's most valuable company, for around $3.5 trillion. Then Microsoft, then Saudi Aramco, then Nvidia. You buy every major professional sports league outright, the NFL, the NBA, the Premier League, the Champions League, Formula One, every team, every franchise, every stadium. You buy Netflix, Disney, and every major Hollywood studio, then greenlight your own biopic starring yourself. Running total spent, roughly $19 trillion. Remaining, $77.8 trillion. At this point, you don't just have generational wealth. You control a meaningful percentage of the global economy. Entire industries now answer to you personally, and you're only 3 days in. Day 4, Earth starts to feel small. You buy SpaceX outright. Then Blue Origin. Then you fund a full permanent moon base, something no government on Earth has managed in over 50 years. You commission a fleet of 200 rockets and start building private space stations for tourism. For comparison, NASA's entire budget since 1958, adjusted for inflation, is about $1.3 trillion. You just spent more than double that on space in a single afternoon. Running total spent, roughly $22 trillion. Remaining, $75.8 trillion. You are now, unofficially, the most powerful private citizen in the history of spaceflight, and you still have 3/4 of your money left. Day 5. The math stops being fun and starts being terrifying. You've spent $22 trillion and you still have $75.8 trillion left, with only 2 days to go. So you pivot. You start paying off debt. All of it. Every mortgage in the United States. Gone. That's about $12.5 trillion. Every student loan in America. Erased. Another $1.7 trillion. Every medical debt in the country. Cleared. Roughly $220 billion. You start wiring $1 million to random strangers. Live-streamed. Chaotic. Thousands of people crying on camera as their lives change in real time. Running total spent. Roughly $37 trillion. Remaining. $60.8 trillion. You have given away more money in one day than any person, foundation, or government program in human history, and you're still nowhere close to zero. Day 6. You go global. Ending world hunger for 1 year, according to UN estimates, costs roughly $40 billion. You fund it for the next 20 years, providing clean drinking water to every person on Earth without access to it. Another $200 billion. You fund malaria eradication, a global vaccine program, and build 500 new hospitals across the developing world. You personally finance a decade of renewable energy infrastructure for entire continents, running total spent, roughly $8 trillion, remaining $52.8 trillion. You've now done more for global poverty and disease in 1 day than most international aid organizations have done in their entire existence, and somehow you still have more money than the annual GDP of every country except 2. Day 7. Hours left. You still have over $50 trillion, and panic sets in. You buy a decommissioned aircraft carrier and turn it into a yacht. You commission a diamond-encrusted skyscraper in Dubai. You buy every piece of fine art at every major auction house. The Mona Lisa is not technically for sale, but you make an offer anyway. With minutes left, your team is wiring money anywhere they legally can. Universities, museums, disaster relief funds, small business grants for every entrepreneur who ever applied for a loan and got rejected. At 11:59 p.m. on day 7, the clock runs out. Final amount remaining, roughly $4.6 trillion, vaporized, gone, unspendable. Even trying, even with the entire planet's luxury goods, real estate, corporations, space programs, debts and charities on the table, you could not spend $100 trillion in 7 days. That's the strange truth about numbers this size. $100 trillion isn't just a lot of money. It's a number the real economy struggles to physically absorb that fast. It's a reminder of just how enormous global wealth really is and how differently it could be used. If this kind of thought experiment blew your mind, subscribe, because next time we're finding out what happens if you have infinite money.